Welcome back to my writing channel, and if you're new here, my name is Sylvia and I make videos on bookish and writerly things. Today's video is going to be setting up a Kanban board for a challenge. Okay, so today I'm going to show you how I set up a Kanban board for a writing challenge. Let me go and grab something because of course I already forgot. Hold on. This is the size and brand name that I use for my Kanban board. So this is 11 inches by 14 inches, and I just get these in packs of 5 from my dollar store, but I'm sure you can get different sizes from your local Walmart or what have you. This is a standard sheet of paper, so as you can see, it is bigger, but not in a way that it's intense and you feel like you have to roll it up to get it out of your way. This can sit on your desk or it can be easily tacked to a wall without having to take up too much space. This size board is also really nice when it comes to these. I think these are 2x2 sticky notes, sticky note brands. They fit very nice in here, especially if you decide to go ahead and do 5 columns, which is what I decided to do. Also, you can do 4 columns and fit the standard size sticky notes within them. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about my Kanban board. So my Kanban board is basically a mashup between monthly / weekly / daily planning and the traditional Kanban board setup. So traditionally a Kanban board has a column for the backlog, which mine still does. It usually has to do and then in progress, followed by a completed column, which mine also still has. These 3 are a little bit different, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to use them now. So for those of you who are interested, and I know some of you will be, I just used a Tombow marker to line this out, and I used my Dymo label maker up here at the top. You can certainly write these in, and you don't have to use a ruler. You can just use a pencil and eyeball it if that works for you. I know who I am as a person, and I need things to be as neat and straight as possible, or it's going to drive me crazy. I'm going to be incredibly busy once Camp Nano starts, which it probably already has if you are watching this now, and we are talking about Camp Nano April 2022 in case you are watching this in the future. The other thing you're going to need is just some sticky notes. Now you can always go ahead and use a regular sheet of paper, but again, like I mentioned, I like the way the sticky notes fit in the column of 5 on this sheet. All right, so let's talk about the backlog. I'm actually going to do this probably a little bit as this video moves on or towards the end of this video, and I'm going to speed some sections up just to save some time. The backlog usually is where you will have a sticky note that you will move from this section to this one until it's completed. Of course, mine is set up a little bit differently, so this section, and this section will all just move the sticky note from here to here, here to completed, and then again here to completed. And of course, anything that I have on the backlog can move to any of these sections depending. So let's start with our weekly goal. So the weekly goal, you can pretty much write whatever you'd like here. If you want to reach a certain word count at the end of each week, you can go ahead and write that out here with a sticky note and then put it in completed once you reach that goal. Or you can go ahead and do breaking down writing a novel like the outline, Act 1, Act 2, Part 1, Act 2, Part 2, just because it's such a big act, and then Act 3, and then the 4th part can be something like starting drafting or moving all of this from one document to the other, or one writing document, I should say, to another. So for instance, I like to start out in Scrivener, but I do not like to revise in Scrivener. So once I do a fast draft, I usually go ahead and copy and paste it into either a Word doc or a Google Doc. That's what works best for me. You should do you. Another thing you can go ahead and put in your weekly goal is if you want to do something like this. I will link this free sheet down below. This is by Eva, and I really love this. So she has gone ahead and put on all of these different plot formulas onto one whole cheat sheet here. You will probably recognize Joseph Campbell's The Monolith, and of course Blake Schneider's The Beats sheet. So you can go ahead and break those down on here if you wanted to. You can also put these in the section where I have marked scene. So for your scene, some people might want to put chapter up here. I don't like putting chapter as a category just because I tend to switch either POVs or switch chapters every time there's a scene more than having like only 30 chapters. So I end up with a higher chapter count, if that makes sense. And you probably also, as a writer, might also end up with a higher chapter count. And I like to play around in the drafting phase. So I might think I have like 30 something chapters and end up with like 50 something as I break them down and add more things in. So that doesn't really work best for me. So doing something like this in the scene section can work really well. I'm actually going to be doing one of these in my weekly goals, and then in the scene section I'm going to go ahead and break down all of the scenes I've already outlined, because I am an outliner, in here, so that I can, so I can celebrate those milestones, pull them off, and put them in the completed column. The last section is the word count. Now you can do whatever you'd like. Some people might want to do 1,667 words on a sticky note all the way through to 50K, because that's what you have to write if you're going to do a traditional NaNoWriMo type word count. I think I'm going to go ahead and do by fives. I'm also going to be adding in 1K and 3K, because those are milestones that I want to celebrate before I get to fives. And then at the end, instead of ending at just 50K, I think I'll add another sticky note that will just say 50K plus, because there have been a couple of different nanos where I have definitely gotten more than 50,000 words. And I don't want to write more than 50,000 per se, but I want a sticky note to celebrate that in case I make it. So I'm going to go ahead and start speeding up some of this and then come back and talk to you either in between these or after I'm all done. Okay, sorry, I forgot to push record. I was listening to my audiobook and I was just so invested, I wasn't even paying attention. I decided to go ahead and do 1 through 10 and then do every 5 after that, just because I like these earlier milestones. So make a 2K one and a 4K one, and we're golden. And you can make these huge right in the center if you want to. You can go ahead and print if you don't like your handwriting. I don't tend to care for mine very much, but I actually like being able to see them by writing them on the edge like this. And you can actually combine the two. Like if you feel like you know that you're going to be at the setup, this says 1 to 10%, and you know what the word count is for that, you can just write it on here instead of having 2 separate columns. But I like it this way because sometimes I tend to overwrite certain things, and yeah, that all gets cut down and figured out in the revision process. All right, these 2 sections are done. Now I'm gonna get started on this one. And again, I had a moment where I was like, oh, maybe at the halfway point I should do another pink one, but I was invested in this audiobook, you guys. I have a book club coming up and I'm trying to focus on so many things. And I was supposed to technically have this book done before April started, so I wouldn't have to split my focus. But anyway, you don't care. Moving on. Okay, so I have gone ahead and printed out my outline up here at the top in the corner where the page number is. I actually have the title of what I'm calling this. so I have it covered with my thumb, but technically I'm just going to call it Project Crimson. And yeah, I'm going to get started on taking a lot of this outlining scenes and stuff, moving them onto sticky notes, and over here, major plot points that I want to make sure that I hit, because although I am an outliner, I tend to do some discovery writing with the first draft. Absolutely. So let's get started with this section. Okay, so now I have finished this column to the best of my ability. I'm going to be adding more things to the actual back here. I have a second Kanban board if I need it, and so this is going to add to my backlog because I have such a detailed outline. A lot of these orange tabs can go here on the back, and I can pull from the back to the front. Also here on this section in green, I would like to put some things that I want to remember to do, like at the end of every week or maybe even every few days. I like to take what I have written in Scrivener and copy and paste it into a Word doc, getting ready for an actual revision draft. So I'm going to write some things like that down here on the backlog. Okay, so now I am finished. Instead of using this as a technical backlog, because I do need a backlogging area for my scenes since this is my entire outline, I'm just going to use the back of this for that. I'm going to put stickies on the back, and I can pull from the back to the front as this goes lower and lower each day and week. that might cause for a little bit of rearranging, picking up these sticky notes and putting them up here and then adding some down to the bottom. So instead, I'm going to use this area kind of for like sticky notes, like sticky note reminders, so I don't have to look like a crazy person having sticky notes all over my workspace. So the first one says save to a hard drive. I am discard for life. Going to school in the 90s, you know, we had floppy disks in junior high, and then our computers didn't always save the best. And I know I have things in the cloud, but still, scarred for life, so I always have to remember to do that. Also, I like to pull, again, like I mentioned earlier, whatever I've written in Scrivener, I like to copy paste it and put it in a Word doc and get it set up and ready for revisions right away. It's just nice and neat. Then we go on to this one that says, each writing day, use Grammarly for spelling and grammar check. You don't want to have to do a Grammarly check on your entire novel after it's done. Grammarly is not the best at that, especially if you're using Google Docs. You start to get past 30,000 words and it starts to be like a very sluggish Word document, and I just don't care for that. I have really bad internet as it is, and I find that even people that have fast internet say that, so I try to spell check each section as I go right after I'm done writing, and I transfer it over. That way there's less work to do and it makes me feel better as well. Less overwhelmed, I promise. The third one says fill out spreadsheet each day and use writing sprint stickies if needed. So I have writing sprint stickies. Do I have them near me? I do. Yes, I have them right here. So the first one is the writing sprint sticky notes. I have created these and I will link them down below. I've linked them in previous videos. These will allow you 3 writing sprints per sticky note. If you're concerned about having to print on sticky notes, no worries. You can print them on a regular sheet of paper and just cut them out and paste them into a planner or wherever you would like. I like to use these when I'm doing writing, like group writing with my nieces. We do writing sprints. They really like those. Some days, you know, if you only have 30 minutes in the morning, at lunch, or in the evening, those are really nice. For the most part, I love just the writing sheet or the worksheet. So for this, I have the entire month all on one page. Right here is the section or the scene area where you can write down what scene you worked on that day. And then you have the same stuff you have on the sticky note, which is the starting word count, start time, ending word count, and then the sprint time, like the total sprint time, and then you have your total for the sprint. These are extra that are not on the sticky note because sticky notes are only so big. So I allow myself to write down words over or words under, meaning that if I write more than my word count for the day, I can celebrate it. If I write under, then I know how much I need to make up for the next day. Again, Scrivener is really great about keeping track of all of that, but if you're someone who doesn't have Scrivener or you're not interested in it, this might be helpful to you. So I will link that down below as well. Okay, so that is everything, you guys. This is how I get ready and set up for Camp NaNoWriMo. I know it's not one of those videos that shows you like how to succeed and you get all of those fun things like coffee and snacks. Of course you should have all of these things, but I feel like this kind of reward system, shall we call it, of moving a sticky note from one section to completed is just really helpful. It keeps me motivated. It keeps me thinking about what's coming up next. And I just think it's incredibly helpful, especially if you're someone who is not a planner like myself and you don't need a 22, page outline. This is something that's simple that you can still do as a pantser or even if you are a plotter. All right, so don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I hope that this was helpful. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Sincerely, Sylvia. Bye.